the stainless steel pin, which I've sharpened the end using the side cutters, and I have glued it into the trunk using yellow glue. Roger, Coastman's. Adding holes to a trunk to make a snag tree with dead branches. Soldering iron. This is inexpensive, $10 on eBay. 400 degrees all the way. It's a 60-watt iron. Careful, dedicated tip, can't use it for soldering anymore. Place it against the trunk. Notice my hands are touching. That helps facilitate accuracy so you're not burnt. A little bit of smoke created helps to have the fume hood on. There's the hole. And you can just work your way around. I place the holes at a 30 to 45 degree angle. If you don't push very hard at first, it just sears the wood and begins to drill, if you will, and then I can push a little bit harder. The tip will cool off as you go and needs to reheat. You could try a more powerful iron. I find they're helpful to an extent, but these little inexpensive ones work pretty good. Now at the top you could use a finer tip than this because it gets very narrow. You could also work on the table if you're more comfortable doing it that way. That. Whatever you do, don't plow that thing into yourself. It is very, very hot. And alternatively, you could use a drill as well. Once you have your holes in the trunk as desired, then it's time to add the dead branches. Use a little bit of white glue. I'm ready to start adding the branches. Got some dead branches material here, and when I select dead branches I try to find those that look interesting, those which have many bifurcations or divisions, you could say. Not every branch will be that way, but kind of hone in on something and clip it. Some of these require a little modification. That one's a little bit long. Grab the trunk, aim. It's not very strong at the moment, but once that dries it will be a good. Sometimes I can cut at an angle. It gives me a little bit of a point. That there's one. Now that's a long branch with a lot of leverage on it there, so there's a chance it might fall out of the hole. It could get frustrating. If you find the right hole though. That doesn't have much of an angle on it. I like a little bit of angle on there, a little bit of slope to. So I'm just going to select some short little pieces here. This one's going to need a little support. It's kind of heavy. This one's light. It can stick all by itself. Sometimes you can use string or twine. And heating it up right now. It's got a little bit finer tip on it, and I'm hoping that will allow me to proceed efficiently on the top of the Snag Tree. Just kind of trying to show off this tiny little dial here. There we are. So I've got it cranked all the way. And this is a 60 watt, so not super powerful, but not entirely power shy either. As a dedicated tip, shall not be used for soldering subsequently. And just a little bit more talk about dead branches. So here's a really interesting one that this is what I would consider to be a dead branch of interest. The curves, it's got the bifurcations. They're not all like this, of course, but you select these ones, try to find them and use them. So that's one of my favorites there. This one's a little bit long, but it's got some pretty cool stuff at the end of it there. So some good guys right there. This little iron's ready to go, so we'll give this a go. It's not a very deep hole. Once it gets started, it wants to stay put,